This is Goals with Soul, the podcast for visionary coaches and entrepreneurs, building your business with inspired action. In alignment with your mission and authentic message, so you can create impact for your soul clients and feel lit up every day. I'm your host, Jo Ingram, married mum of 3 daughters from London and a former ad agency director turned business coach and strategist. In Goals with Soul, we blend revenue generation with energetics, marketing strategies with pranic healing, and ambitious business goals with our soul's desires. If you're looking to build your business with less efforting and more ease, this is the podcast for you. Let's dive in. Welcome to Goals with Soul. I'm Jo Ingram. And if you have ever suffered plateaued sales or clients that just simply are not energizing, this is the episode for you. Because today we're going to dive into why messaging, when it's off point, really encourages things to happen in your business that feel stagnant. And yet so frequently we question ourselves, why is that? And come up with a multitude of random and incorrect answers. I know that when I first found that after my initial launch and I started to make some money in my business and then everything started to plateau and get a little quieter, I started looking around and going, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with my strategy? And I concluded that I needed to grow my social media following. So I took a course on Instagram and then I did some training to boost my email list numbers and grow my list. But I just kept doing different things and yet none of them solved the problem at the time. And increasingly, I was seeing a trend that the clients I was working with, although I wanted to be grateful for the fact that I had business and clients, I found myself really drained after certain sessions. You know the feeling. You get on the call and the client is just heavy. They haven't done their homework or their assignments or whatever it is that you discussed in the last session. They show up and they're like, it's not working. Can you help me more? What is it I need to do? And your brain's buzzing. You're like, right. How can I help this person? I really want to get them the results. They're paying me. I just have so much passion for what I do. How can I help them? And consequently, you start to overprove, overdeliver, overpush. To the point, I know that I did this, I started to do things for my clients. I was like, look, if you can't make this Canva thing, don't worry, I'll just make it for you. I'll send it to you. No excuses. Just get on with it. There was all sorts of things that I would come up with. I would start creating their messaging strategies for them, which is something I adore doing. But when they weren't having an input in it, it wasn't sticking. They didn't have ownership over it. And I realized that as much as I adore co-creating, it has to be co-creating. It's no good if somebody just does it for you, because when you stop working with them, then you're never going to pick up the pace. The momentum just isn't there, the commitment and so on. Now, if you recognize this, perhaps in yourself at times, but particularly in the way that certain clients show up for you, it's an opportunity to ask yourself why it is you're calling in unenergizing clients. And you don't have to work with people that make you feel this way. I just want to make that really clear. I think that too often the industry might give you a point of view that says, just be grateful. You're making money, get your head down, don't complain, always just decide that it's good enough. Well, as much as I'm all for gratitude and showing appreciation, we do it in the sense of appreciating what we have and yet wanting more. And wanting more in this case means wanting more for yourself, to feel lit up, to feel energized when you come off a call. And I know that when I moved my messaging onwards and I started to call in soul clients, it was a world apart from that plateaued place where the unenergizing clients meant that at the end of the week I was absolutely exhausted. I do some of my calls later in the day because I'm a Brit in London and I do work with a lot of American clients, which I adore, but it does mean sometimes I have to work later in the day. And too often you think to yourself, gosh, I'm going to be too tired later. But I'm telling you, when I'm working with soul clients, the energy just flows. In fact, sometimes I come off a call in the evening buzzing so much I end up working for an extra 2 or 3 hours, which is something that I would never have done in the past when I was doing a job back in corporate or in the business at the beginning where that energetic exchange wasn't taking place. So you deserve to work with clients that completely light you up. They're clients who you would meet outside of work. You know, they're women I work with that I would meet up for a cappuccino, I would see them for a glass of red wine, whatever. And in fact, This is so exciting. One of my clients, you know who you are, she's flying over from the States to visit family in Ireland, and she's flying over for the day to join me in London, and we're going to have an afternoon out. I want to take her for some sightseeing and something nice to eat. How exciting is that? And I want that for you too. I want you to be able to work with clients that light you up. So what is the key? And the clue is, it isn't growing your Instagram account. It isn't doing a completely new certification because you feel that you're an imposter and you're underqualified. It isn't a multitude of other things. I had one client who even thought her problem was her brand photos. She's like, you know what, if I can just upgrade those, then I'll call in the right people. Now, the reality is, and this is the truth, that it's your messaging that needs attention first. Your messaging is everything, my friend. Messaging as a word sometimes causes some confusion. So I'm going to spell it out, what exactly I mean by messaging. And look, let's be honest, I'm a brand messaging strategist. So this is my game. This is what I do. And this is what we mean when we're talking in the coaching business about messaging. It's literally how you represent your brand. What it is, that's obviously your message to the world, but also consider it your mission. When you've dialed that in and you truly understand what is completely unique about yourself, you own your brilliance and you work out how to articulate it, then your messaging is going to be on point. And all too often, our messaging is gathered up from various swipe files or imitating someone we've seen before. Or too often, in the case of experienced and established coaches that I work with, it's something that they created at the beginning. They leapt out of corporate or something else they were doing and built a coaching business fast. These are women like me, probably like you, who do not want to sit around and wait. So they're literally going, bang, I know what I've got. I've got some skills. I know I can teach them. I'm going to set up some basic marketing and I'm in business and start making money. They start scaling and suddenly they go, these clients are really draining me. What's going on here? I've lost enthusiasm for my business. I'm not really sure what my next move should be. I know I'm ready to move to my next level because I'm feeling all the feels about what I'm doing in my life to move it on, and yet my business has stayed stagnant and consequently our sales plateau. A beautiful client I worked with only a couple of weeks ago had found that she'd been stagnant in her business for 6 months before we dialed in her up-leveled messaging. And from that point forward, the energy just flooded back in and she's creating her new signature program and moving that all forward in a way that really lights her up. And that's something that is invaluable. Being excited and enthusiastic in your business as an entrepreneur and as a coach is everything. I mean, you know what it feels like when you're feeling low and you're feeling unenergized. I know this because I felt like this only a week ago. We all go through this. But when you're stuck in this for a prolonged period of time, it's no surprise to see that your sales can dwindle or you start wondering how exactly you're going to stand out in the crowd. Because, my friend, our niches are crowded. And getting your messaging on point and really showing your unique brilliance is what's going to stand you apart. And when you start to worry about the competition and all the other people doing what you're doing, when you get your messaging right and you dial in the elements of you that are absolutely unique and you start to talk to your ideal client, not worrying about who everybody else is targeting, but working out exactly who you're meant to work with, and creating content and programs that absolutely speak to them, speak to their heart and their soul, that's when the business really, really rockets. That was my experience. And that's been exactly what's happened for my client, Andrea Heyman. Andrea joined my Time to Rise program, and within 1 month, we'd worked together to dial in what her up-leveled messaging was. As you're going to hear in this excerpt from an IG Live, the results she got were absolutely tangible. She got 3 new clients in 1 week. But not only that, those clients were absolutely ideal for her, whereas the ones before had sapped her energy, were in a place of struggle. Her new clients were in a place of momentum. They wanted results. They want to do the work. They value what she teaches, and she cannot wait to jump on calls with them. I'm going to switch over now and you can hear for yourself some of the reasons that Andrea feels that getting her messaging right has been a complete game changer for her business. Now, I'm glad that you're joining us today because I've got a really special guest. Her name is Andrea Heyman. She is a very special and niched nutritionist because she helps professional mums deal with things like emotional eating and ways in which they are struggling to get an anti-diet approach. But the reason I'm inviting her on today is specifically because she's achieved a messaging up level that's making a big difference for her business. And I think if you hear it from her and understand the difference it will make, it'll inspire you to make big changes too. Andrea joins me nearly every week in my program, Time to Rise, where we focus specifically on messaging. So I'm just delighted that she's going to share some of her experiences today. And Andrea, like, first of all, can you tell us a little bit about what you specialize in? Because it's obviously something you're super qualified in over 20 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I help professional women gain control over their emotional eating so that they can stop obsessing about food, enjoy the things that in life that should be enjoyed. And we do this in an anti-diet way so that folks never have to diet again. As you mentioned, I have been a dietitian for over 25 years, and I really worked in a traditional setting, but it was some pinnacle experiences there, and then the course of feeling frustrated in how I was approaching things that made me realize I had to take a different stab at things.
So true. And what I love so much about what you've just done is you just created your brand messaging statement beautifully. I asked what you did. There wasn't a pause. There wasn't even a beat. It's like, that quintessential elevator pitch that people really struggle with. And now, wherever you go, meeting people, networking, speaking to clients, being a guest on a podcast, whatever it might be, you're able to just say, this is what I do. This is who I help. This is how I do it, creating a massive amount of confidence and also recognition whether you're the right person. But I know that when you first dived into Time to Rise and we started working together, your area of expertise, as you expressed it, was a little bit different. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was going to say that absolutely. I didn't have that elevator pitch. I didn't have that brand messaging statement prior to March when we began Time to Rise. Prior to that, I think I don't know if shifty is the right word. Like I would shift my words so frequently that I never had a chance to really kind of develop and fall into that lane because I really didn't have a process that kind of pinpointed what I really wanted to do and what I really wanted to say. And once we kind of worked through that, it felt so much better and clearer. And I'm sure you have a bazillion questions about that, but I could probably talk about that for a good while.
And it's interesting because, like myself, ex-professional women ourselves now in coaching, we're kind of quite driven, high achieving, we've got certain expectations of ourselves, and it's really typical for people to come from what we're trained in and what we know and instantly pivot and do that for our coaching. And I know when I first understood the type of client you were working with, obviously as a trained dietitian, nutritionist, you had been trained to help people with very specific problems around diabetes and obesity. So I can see that would have been a very natural thing for you to want to do, to want to serve and want to help. How did that go for you? Like, why did you feel that wasn't right over time?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So what I found myself doing is talking to people's fears. Like, do you want to get off medication? What's your doctor telling you? Like, that the course of your disease or what your weight is going to result in. And really talking to those fears as I was doing was bringing me clients that were fearful, that had a lot of fear. And so our appointments, our time together was more stressful, I would say. Not as fun for me, for sure, because the clients that were coming to me were harder because they were in a different place. And once I shifted that messaging, I was able to draw really a very different kind of client. And it makes working with the clients super fun. I had someone yesterday and I was so excited to see them in the morning and have a wonderful conversation with them. And they were coming from a very different approach. Like, yeah, there are this particular client has medical concerns in the back of her mind, but that's not her primary concern. And so trying kind of shifting what I was talking to, the pain points were very different. And it really did attract a different audience, a different clientele.
Yeah, amazing. As I remember, that was a core part of what we talked about in the session, was about switching up the messaging from that fearful, struggle-based messaging to something that can magnetize people who are ready to be elevated, rather than being dragged through the program kicking and screaming because they're just so fearful.
And it's really interesting because my training as a dietitian, I realize how much I'm in that mode, because sometimes I see myself slipping back there, and it's very easy to do. I'm still constantly trying to reframe those words, as I know that it works better for me this new way, this new improved way, because just like you said, it's an opportunity to get more elevated clients, and clients that are really so excited to kind of pursue this new strategy, a new way of going about their eating, really.
Yeah, and they're going to be so much more likely to succeed, which is in everyone's interest, because they're so motivated, because they've been hooked in by that elevated messaging position that you've taken, one that calls to their desires and something that they know they're really ready for. And I just want to just point something out, which is you're talking about already working with new clients who are in this space. And we're talking about you changing your messaging a matter of a few weeks ago, literally pivoting it in the moment. And already you're working with paying clients who've been called in by this new messaging.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I think there was 1 week, or maybe a span of about 8 or 9 days, where I got 3 new clients. And it was all because the words that I was using were, I guess, just resonating with folks in a much deeper level. And beyond just getting the paid clients, to me, I feel like I have a mission to promote, because we have been on diets and taught to do traditional diets, and there's really a better way to go about it. So that it's really my mission to help folks get there. So not only have I gotten the paid clients, but the responses to emails, the DMs that are coming in my mailbox, and also kind of the engagement that I'm getting on social media is just very, very different than probably what it ever was before. So it's really fun, because I see how my language and my messaging is so much more clear, because I'm getting all of that response.
I'm so excited for you, because I see so frequently when people are not getting what they want out of their business, you start looking for all the problems. It's like, is it that my mailing list isn't big enough? Is it that I am not doing the right content in Instagram, or I'm not good enough on Reels? And is it I need new brand photography? It's just like, we'll look anywhere. But the truth is, when we change our messaging and really nail it, the same activity that we were doing before, sending the emails, posting in social media, can create a really different response. And I mean, you're so congruent with your message now, because we talked about how the clients that we choose to work with can be people we'd love to be friends with, feel that amazing energy in our business, and it doesn't need to feel like work, that amazing blending between work and passion. And it sounds like you're moving into that space. You're so much more lit up.
Yeah, it's really kind of a win-win-win on all levels, because just from me as someone who has started their own business and really has a vision for what this could be, it makes things so much easier. And when at this point in my business, I'm really wearing all the hats. And when we can take this one bucket of responsibilities and just kind of streamline it and make it easier, oh, that is fantastic. And that just makes my day so much smoother and enjoyable, really.
It's amazing, amazing. So to summarize, basically, when you got your messaging right and you pivoted from struggle-based messaging into desire-based and really looked at who you wanted to work with, you're finding much more response and engagement across the board in all the things that you put out, paying clients, who's obviously great for business, but more than that, you love showing up and working with them. You're feeling inspired instead of that like heavy energy sapping piece that can come when we work with clients that need their hands held and they need that kind of pulling energy. Amazing.
Yeah, you summed it up really well. That is right.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this. And look, anyone who's listening to this, either live or on replay, if you are a high achieving mum who is into emotional eating, and I have been there, and it's not something completely unfamiliar to me, and I know many of us high achieving women go in that direction, and it's an area that we just can't seem to kick, even though we're doing the yoga and the meditations and all that stuff. So Andrea is phenomenal what she does. Please do go visit her Instagram profile and learn more about her and say hi. So Andrea, thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate you, Andrea. I'm so happy to be able to support you in your journey.
Thank you. And you support me so much.
Absolutely fantastic results. And if any of the stuff has resonated with you about being an emotional eater, Andrea's contact details and Instagram account are right in the show notes. So jump in there and go over and chat with her, because the results she gets for her clients are absolutely outstanding. And if you have realized that actually you've been running around doing all the things, trying to work out why you're not resonating with your clients and getting sales with clients that light you up, it's time you focused on getting your messaging on point. And if you would like support with that, send me an email, joe@iamjoeingram.com, or send me a message on Instagram. My handle there is iamjoe.ingram. Simply send me the word messaging and I will share details about how you can get results like Andrea's. And so a simple inspired action for you this time. Simply look around at all the things that you are trying to do. Whatever the things are that you think are problems in your business and solutions, question, are you really focusing in the right place? Have you got to the root of the cause, or are you just dealing with symptoms? Is it an Instagram growth problem? Or is it really a messaging problem? You can grow your Instagram account or any other social media as large as you like, but when people land on your profile page and the messaging isn't on point, they will just bounce away. Let's not waste time, energy and money pointing ourselves in the wrong direction if we've not dialed up the foundations of our business. And my friend, messaging is the foundation. So have an inspired action week. Take care. Bye now.